philosophy. When Kunti Maharani is praying offers to Krishna, there's a lot of philosophy in that, and also there are deep insights into those prayers because they are pure devotees. Whatever pure devotees pray, it is not their prayers. It seems that they are praying, but they are not praying. They are being inspired by the Lord to pray to them. So Kunti Uvacha, this is first canto, 8th chapter, 18th verse. From here I am starting, and I will develop the logic as I go forward between each verse. I'll comment on each verse from Prabhupada's purport, important points, and then proceed to next verse and show you the logic, how Kunti is offering prayers. And we can also learn how to pray to Krishna from Kunti's prayers. This is important. In fact, Prabhupada says in Nectar of Devotion that devotees can offer their own prayers to Krishna. They can compose their own prayers, but before you compose, you should know how to compose, because one of the names of Krishna is Uttama Shloka. He is glorified by the choicest words. Prabhupada says by the Uttam means the best glorifications are reserved for the best person, Shri Krishna. So you should know how to compose those prayers. Now, how to do that? Kunti is one of the teachers, and her prayers are included in Srimad Bhagavatam. And when you read these prayers, Prabhupada says in Nectar of Devotion, until unless you don't know how to compose prayers, you should read these prayers and try to understand how they are slowly praying to Krishna. And the aim and objective of praying to Krishna is to please Him. So we can compose prayers for Him. You can now sit and compose some prayers, but the idea is that should be pleasing to Krishna and not displeasing, or maybe not boring. It might not be displeasing, but it might be boring. So Krishna is Rasovaisa. He is Rasraj. He is a reservoir of all pleasure. And in one of the purport, Prabhupada says, if you can manage to impress Him, you have got Him. That's it in this material world. You impress, a boy tries to impress a girl, and a girl tries to impress a boy, and if they're impressed, they're together. If they're not impressed, then okay, on your own way. So idea is to impress Lord, but of course nobody can impress Him because He's God, and we are tiny living beings. But out of love, out of pure devotion, if you compose prayers to the best of ability, what you can, after sincere practice and philosophical understanding, if you do best what you can, Krishna becomes impressed. Now the question here is, why does Krishna become impressed by her prayers? I mean to say, Krishna can find 1,000 faults in your prayers, 1,000 infinite faults, no matter how much good prayers you compose. He is God. Like Keshav Kashmiri, like Lord Chaitanya, Keshav Kashmiri came to Lord Chaitanya. Keshav Kashmiri, in fact, he was blessed by Saraswati, and we know that he was incarnation of Nimbarkacharya. Nimbarkacharya incarnated as Keshav Kashmiri to be blessed by Lord Chaitanya. But in that particular pastime, he came to Lord Chaitanya. He challenged him. At that time, he was Nimai, by the way. So he challenged him, and then what happened was Mahaprabhu told, okay, fine, you compose a prayer on Ganges. And Keshav Kashmiri told, okay, fine. And he spoke 100 verses as offerings to Ganges, to Mother Ganges, one after another, without stopping, spontaneous, in Sanskrit, with all poetic embellishments, all alankars, perfect in place, and 100 verses. It's impossible to compose even one verse in Sanskrit. But he did that. People who were Nimai's friend, they were simply dumbfounded. Then Keshav Kashmiri told, okay, Nimai, so are you impressed? Nimai told that, well, Keshav Kashmiri, there are some faults in this. Now, first of all, to find faults, you have to remember all the prayers, what he said. But when he was speaking these prayers, he was just shooting arrows, one after another. He was going very fast because he was blessed by Saraswati. So what to find time to find mistakes? There was not even time to hear those verses properly. But Mahaprabhu did. He remembered, and we should remember He's God. He did, and he found mistakes. He found 4 or 5 good qualities. At the same time, 4 or 5 faults there. And Keshav Kashmiri was taken aback. How can this person do such a superhuman activity of first listening to all verses, remembering them, and then pointing out the mistake there, exact philosophical mistake, grammatical mistake, mistake in alankar, and all those aspects of the prayers. So if he can find mistakes in Keshav Kashmiri, who is blessed by Saraswati, who can speak 100 verses spontaneously without stopping, no matter what we do, he's going to find some. He can find some mistakes if he wants. He can find mistakes in Kunti Maharani prayers. He can do that if he wants. But now the question is, how do we impress him? And why does Krishna become impressed by our prayers? Because unless he doesn't become impressed, he will not develop a relationship with us. He has to be impressed. Krishna doesn't want friends or devotees who are boring. He doesn't want that. All his friends in spiritual world, they're interesting. Madhu Mangal, what he's doing, he's so interesting personality. He knows how to glorify him. He knows how to make him laugh. He is a comedian. His service is to be a comedian and make Krishna laugh. And all other devotees, Krishna says in Bhagavatam, Puta mad bhavam agata. All devotees, when they become purified, they attain to my nature. Krishna says like that in Bhagavad Gita. Puta mad bhavam agata. They attain to my nature. Prabhupada translates like that. They attain to my nature. So what does that mean, attain to my nature? Of course, this doesn't mean we become God. But this shows that we take qualities like him. All devotees in spiritual world, all devotees in material world who are liberated, they become like Krishna. They get all qualities of Krishna. One of the qualities of Krishna is entertainer. He is not boring. He is always eternal. Always entertaining. Always interesting. Every moment, we have heard, every moment is a song. Every moment is a festival in spiritual world. Every word is a song. Every step is a dance. So it has got to be interesting. Boring things cannot be festival, dance and music. So the question remains the same. How can Kunti impress Krishna by her prayers? Of course, you might say she has love. But the point is, you have love, but the point is, a person who loves Krishna, he wants to do his best. He wants to offer best prayers. And Krishna is impressed by that. Why? Because it's simple to understand. It is not because Krishna is not impressed because for the first time I'm hearing these prayers and they are so beautiful, they are so nice. Even I cannot understand that, so I'm impressed. It's not like that. In material world, it's like that. A person might do something, and you are impressed because you cannot do those things. That's why we are impressed. A fighter, or maybe that Man versus Wild, that serial, and the person is eating lizards and all those things. You say, my God, he's such a courageous person. I'm impressed because you cannot do that. Or maybe sportsman, you're impressed by sportsman because you cannot do that. You're impressed by actors because you cannot do that kind of acting. But that's not with Krishna. Krishna can do everything, even more than what we can imagine. So Krishna is impressed because of prayers. Why? Because you can take this example of a classroom. In a classroom, a teacher is impressed by the student who tops, who actually answers, whose answers are to the point and correct, and also almost perfect. Teacher is impressed. Okay, good. This student is a bright student, and teacher says, "Yes, I am impressed by you because you have done your job nicely." Why? Because he is different from other students. That is why teacher is impressed. There is always a favorite student of a teacher in a class, in all classes, because teacher is impressed. Yes. Why? Because he can do those things which other students cannot do. Teacher is not impressed because that student can do those things which teacher cannot do. Teacher is PhD, and that student is just in 4th, 5th class. Student can never compete the teacher. But the competition is not with the teacher. Competition is with other classmates. And when he can do such things which other classmates cannot do, he becomes favorite of that teacher. Teacher is impressed. Similarly, when we can do those things which ordinary humans cannot do, when we can do those things which ordinary devotees cannot do, then Krishna will be impressed. Yes, I am impressed by you. There are so many people doing devotion, but your prayers are based on knowledge. Your prayers are based on sincerity. Your prayers are based on perfect philosophy, and your prayers are offered to me in a way so that it's pleasing to me. And yes, that's why he is impressed by Kunti Maharani. And in fact, after Kunti Maharani offers a prayer to Krishna, even Yudhishthira Maharaj, he asks Krishna to stay for some time. In Mahabharata it is said that Krishna actually stayed there. Krishna is leaving. Kunti Maharani is praying, she's offering prayers when Krishna is leaving to Dwarka from Hastinapur. Battle is over. Everything is done. Krishna is leaving for Dwarka, and also at that time Krishna is standing there on the chariot, and his servants are there on the chariot. There's millions of people there saying goodbye. Kunti Maharani comes and she offers a prayer in front of everybody. This is the scene, setting the scene. And after Kunti Maharani offers prayers, Krishna actually he stayed there for some time. He is really impressed by her love and by her prayers, which she lovingly offers, and not just the love in the prayers, but the way this is offered, these prayers, the depth of the philosophy and the theme of these prayers, which is slowly giving excitement to Krishna. As the prayers are increasing, Krishna is becoming excited. Oh, this is nice. So prayers are just like music, and I'll show you here. I'll try to show you here how this music develops. So music goes slowly, then a little fast, then more fast, and the tempo increases, and the rhythm increases, and it's becoming more exciting. This is how prayers have to be offered, and we can learn from Kunti. This is the first prayer in Srimad Bhagavatam by a lady, Kunti, not by a male, and there's a secret to this, why it's like that, and by Kunti Maharani, who is a pure devotee of Lord. Srimad Bhagavatam could have begun with the prayers of Bhishma, Prahlad, so many other pure devotees, but only Kunti. Why? And there's a reason for this. Prabhupada explained in the purports. That's why it says Kunti Uvacha. Why Prabhupada says there in the purport later that Krishna Bhagavatam includes prayers by a lady to show that everyone is qualified for Lord's favor. Whether he's a philosopher, or whether he's a great rishi, or whether he's a great muni, or like Prahlad, or like Kunti. So generally females are not considered that philosophical. Prabhupada comments in the purport. So not in this purport, but later. And generally females, ladies are not considered that austere. But here Kunti Maharani, she being a lady, she is favored by Lord. And not only that, she understands philosophy. So Krishna, Bhagavatam is showing anybody, even if you are female, even if you are a householder female, no problem. You can be perfect in philosophy, perfect in love, and perfect in your prayers. Anybody can approach Krishna. That's the idea. That's the idea. That's why Kunti's prayers are there. Bhagavatam could have started with Bhishma's prayer, but then Bhishma is definitely more than qualified to attain Krishna. His age was 800 years. He was living for 800 years, and he has a wish that he had the blessings. He could choose to die at any time. 800 years is a lot of time for you to learn philosophy and so many things, and he was very learned. So it's obvious if he offers prayer, Krishna will accept and he will give mercy. But what about Kunti? She's an ordinary lady, Prabhupada mentions. But yet, the blessings of Krishna, she could understand who is he. She could love him. She could pray to him in such a way. In a way in which great rishis cannot even pray to Krishna. So Krishna is saying, everybody can approach me. I am not inaccessible. I am rather accessible to everybody. I am open to everybody. But the question is, do you want to access me? That's the question. Krishna is searching for you, but do you want to search him? Krishna wants to love you, but do you want to love him? Krishna wants to surrender to his devotees, but do you want to surrender to him? Krishna wants to sacrifice everything for his devotees. Krishna can sacrifice his integrity, his morality, by speaking lies, by breaking his vows, by doing politics. But are you ready to sacrifice all this for Krishna? If yes, then anybody can approach him. That is why this Bhagavatam says Kunti Uvacha. She's a lady and she's speaking. And now this is 1st Canto 8, chapter 18th verse. She is offering prayers to Krishna. She approaches Krishna in front of everybody. She's offering. Now the point to note is, she immediately starts Namaste Purusham Tu Adayam. I want the prayers. You can open your Bhagavatam if you have. Namaste Purusham Tu Adayam. If you don't have Bhagavatam, no problem, you can listen. Kunti says, she doesn't address Krishna as a nephew. And Prabhupada mentions in the purport, Kunti was quite aware Krishna is original personality of Godhead, although he was playing part of a nephew. So she was aware and she was not confused. That's the idea. So one of the devotees, I think it's Narayana Sarkar Thakur of Prabodhanand Saraswati, he wrote a song, and in that song, he composed a song for Lord Chaitanya, and in that song he writes, I will never become confused by seeing the bewildering pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. Although Lord Chaitanya is acting like an ordinary person, although as Nimai, naughty Nimai, who is actually opposed to devotional life in Mayapur, and he was always criticizing everybody, just interested in scholastic debates, in probably in money, before he revealed himself. And Narayana Sarkar Thakur says, no matter whatever I see him doing, whatever bewildering pastimes, I am not going to be confused. In fact, Kunti, in these prayers it will come. Kunti Maharani said that when Krishna feared Yashodama is trying to tie him, it was really puzzling to him. She accepted that. She is accepting that in prayers. It was really puzzling to me. How can Supreme Person be fearful of an ordinary village gopi, Yashoda, and being tied by a rope? First of all, how can you tie him? And he's weeping like a child. There are tears in his eyes. So she's saying, I'm so puzzled and bewildered by this. She says, that pastime was bewildering, but I was not bewildered. Still, I could understand that I could maintain my understanding that He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In fact, that pastime happened before this incident, and you can see she is saying Namaste Purusham Adim. She was not confused. Shishupal was confused. Duryodhan was confused. Indra was confused. Brahma was confused, but not Kunti. So therefore, Bhagavatam begins with the prayers of Kunti. She was not confused. And devotees of the Lord are never confused whatever Krishna does. So in fact, Chaitanya Bhagavat, Vrindavan Das Thakur says, even if Nityanand Prabhu, even if he goes to a wine shop and drinks wine, I'll not be confused. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead forever. That is why Kunti says Namaste. She says Namaste. Namaste means let me bow down. Nama means na means not. Ma means me. So Namaste means Kunti is saying Namaha, Namaskar, Namaste. That means I am not. That's the idea. That doesn't mean I don't exist. That means I am not, or I am nothing. I am nothing in front of Supreme Lord. By small intelligence, I cannot understand your ways, your actions, but I can offer you obeisances. I can glorify those actions. That's why she says, Namaste Purusham tu Adayam. Now, first you have to keep in mind there are so many people there. There's Yudhishthir, Pandavas, everybody standing, other soldiers, and she goes to Krishna and she says this, Namaste Purusham Adayam, you are the Supreme Person. Now these are, if you understand the context and the scene, this is quite difficult to say, because people will think what happened to Kunti, because everybody is not a devotee there. You have to keep in mind. Very few people could understand who is Krishna and He is Supreme. It is said in Bhagavatam, Dwarkavasis, Mathura, and Pandavas and Rajvasis. Hastinapur, everybody was not a devotee. So, but she spoke this without consideration of time, without consideration of people standing there. She spoke this. It was her idea, her focus was to please Him. And also, her focus was to develop a prayer, to develop a music for the Lord. And as you read the prayers, I don't know whether, so I'll not be able to finish these prayers, of course. I've not even started it. But as you read the prayers, you can read the prayers, and you will notice, she is starting to pray to Krishna as the Supreme Person, Purusham tu Adayam, and she finishes almost in the end. She starts describing the pastimes of Krishna as an ordinary human. Here she is describing Krishna as Supreme Lord, and as she develops her prayers, she is then not focusing on the supremacy of Lord, but on the human aspect of the Lord, on the human aspect, on the human aspect which He revealed in His pastimes to develop or have exchanges with his devotees. So, in other words, in technical words, she starts with Aishwarya and develops and goes into Madhurya. And that's pleasing, that's music for Krishna's ears. Yes. So this is how, so you can see how prayers are done. There has to be a theme developed in the prayers. Krishna likes, and she could have also started with Madhurya. She could have just said, Krishna, you are Gopi Jana Vallabh, Yashoda Nandan. Kunti Manani often used to visit Vraj, and she knows Yashoda, she knows Nand, she knows all gopis. And how do we know she used to visit Vraj? Because she was there when Krishna was being bound by Yashoda, and she admits she was there. So she often used to go and see him as a child and enjoy those pastimes, and she could understand that those pastimes are much, much, much more relishable than other pastimes where he acts like a god. But nevertheless, she chose to begin with Aishwarya and not with Madhurya. And there can be many reasons for this, but one of the reasons is that why she is doing to develop a contradiction, to make Krishna remember he's God, but then make him remember that yes, you're God, but nevertheless you're sweet and you're accessible to your devotees. And that gives Krishna excitement and pleasure. And this is the aim of devotion, to give him excitement and pleasure, not to seek excitement only. If you make Krishna excited, you become excited. If you seek excitement, you even lose Krishna and excitement both. So this is a beautiful prayer. So and similar thing is done in Valmiki Ramayana. So if you read Valmiki Ramayana, Hanuman is offering prayers. It's beautiful prayers, and Hanuman starts with Aishwarya and then he goes into Madhurya. And that's nice, no? So if you meet somebody, a big person, and if you tell, see, you're so great, you're so nice, you've done so nice things, and but then you went to Hawaii Islands with your family, you had your child, and you played with him, and in spite of you being so great, you were playing with that child on sand like an ordinary person. He was climbing on your back, and your wife was scolding you. Come on, he will relish that. So similarly, Kunti is praying. So you see how Kunti knows the dynamics of how to pray to God. You have to learn how to pray to God. He is perfect. He is Uttama. And that's why we should have perfect prayers or Uttama Shloka. Uttama Shloka Guna Anuvarnane. So she says, Namaste Purusham Tuadyam. You are the original Supreme Person. And Purusham means, Puru means city, Isham means Lord. You are the Lord of this city. This city means Dwarka, Mathura, Vrindavan, Hastinapur, or this body as Super Soul. So, Tuadyam Ishwaram Prakate Param. And your Ishvara, you are not only Purusham, you are not only enjoyer. Purusham means enjoyer, the owner or the knower of this city, but also the controller of this city. Now this, you can see, this prayer, this first verse is completely describing Aishwarya of Lord. Full opulence. Enjoyer, knower, controller, Prakrtehe Param. You're controlling Prakrti, your creator, your destroyer. And Alaksha Sarva Bhutanam. In spite of you being so great, and Antarbhairavasthitam, in spite you being present everywhere. This verse, this one verse, summarizes all the Aishwarya of Lord. Whatever you will read, whatever you have read, everything into one verse, compressed. Antarbhairavasthitam. He is omnipresent, he is omniscient, he knows everything, that is Purusham, and also he is omnipotent, Ishwaram, and that's God all about, creator, maintainer, destroyer. And these three things, he is present everywhere, but still, Kunti is making point, Alakshayam Sarva Bhutanam. You are not visible to anybody. Alakshayam means, Lakshya means visible, and Alakshayam means invisible. So in Sanskrit, Lakshya word comes from Lakshan. Lakshan word is, so in Sanskrit, Lakshan means evidence. Evidence. And evidence means what you can see according to science. Give me evidence. This automatically presumes a fact that I'm giving you evidence, I'm giving you a fact which you can see, by your eyes or by your intelligence. So, analakshya means which you cannot see. So, alakshyam sarva bhutanam, you are not visible to anybody. In spite you doing everything, in spite you being everywhere, in spite you being even within us, still you cannot be seen. And there's example for this. It's possible, just like ghee in milk or fire in wood. Similarly, Krishna is everywhere, but we cannot see him. So, question is why? Why we cannot see him? Why if he is within us, why can't I see him? If he is everywhere, why can't I see him? What's the problem in that? Where is the problem? With him or with us? Is he trying to hide himself? Or are we so foolish that we cannot see him? So that question Kunti is answering in the next verse. And she continues, 1:8-19. She continues, Maya javani kachanam agya dhokshajam avyayam na lakshay mura drisha nato natte dharo yatha. Beautiful verse. She answers this question, why people of this world cannot see you. Now, why we cannot see? Because Kunti Maharani gives an example here. Nato natte dharo yatha. Now, just you are invisible to people, just exactly as an actor. Nato natte dharo. An actor dressed as a player is not recognized. So, just as an actor cannot be recognized because he is dressed in some other role. Similarly, people are unable to recognize Krishna. Now the point to note here is, Kunti says, Mudha Drisha, and she uses the word Agya. So Agya means ignorant, Mudha Drisha means foolish. And Prabhupada in the purports write, people who are ignorant of the fact, ignorant about the knowledge of God, or they are obstinate. Prabhupada translates foolishness, Mudha as foolishness in the word-to-word meaning, but in the purport he says obstinate. Foolish means obstinate, no? Just like a donkey. If you go on a road and there's a donkey sitting on, so in the middle of the road, no matter how much you press your horn, no matter how much you give your horn, he's not going to get up. It's very difficult. If you go to India, if you have seen a donkey, sometimes you will come to know. He will not get up. He's just sitting there. You do whatever you want. Because he's foolish, he cannot understand what is the meaning of horn. And that's why he's obstinate. He will be perceived as obstinate. So foolish person is obstinate. So Prabhupada says, people are obstinate. You tell them, they will not accept. So why people cannot see Krishna? It's not problem with Krishna. It's problem with people. Maya javani kacham, because they are ignorant of knowledge of God, agya, and mudha drisha, because they are foolish and obstinate. Maya javani kacham, Maya covers their intelligence. She covers their intelligence. So it's not fault of Maya, it is their fault. But they cannot see Krishna, it's fault of illusion. Come on. It's complete nonsense. It is you were ignorant, you were obstinate, so Maya caught you and made you more foolish, so that you cannot perceive him. So who is at fault? Prisoners or police? Police is beating prisoner, but they are at fault. That's why they are being they are beaten. And it's neither the fault of God. Now, Krishna doesn't want to hide himself. Now here when Kunti says, he's just like an actor dressed as a player, who is not recognized, this doesn't mean that Krishna wants to hide himself. In fact, if you read the purport, Prabhupada in the purport expands on the pastimes of the Lord. He says Krishna exhibited humanly impossible activities. Even from days of life of mother, he killed Putna, and he did superhuman activities. He lifted Govardhan, and Kunti Maharani, he took many avatars, Ram, Narsimha, Vara. Why Prabhupada says this? Because to explain that the example of actor is not given to show that Krishna wants to hide himself. The example of actor, on the other hand, is given to show that Krishna wants to reveal himself. If you read properly, Nato Nate Dhara, he's an artist, he's an actor dressed nicely, or he's an actor, he acts as Rama, as Vamana, in different roles. Why does that? To hide himself? No, rather to reveal himself that he's God. That's the purpose of his acting, that's the purpose of his incarnations. Why would he come? In Bhagavad Gita, we know from Bhagavad Gita, he takes incarnations to establish dharma and to give pleasure to his devotees and to let people know that he's God and to let people know what are his qualities, to reveal his beautiful qualities in front of people so that they can meditate on the pastimes, they can become pure and develop love for him. So every actor, he does acting to become famous and not to become infamous. That's the idea. So, and every person knows, yes, this is Amitabh Bachchan acting as Allah Rakha, or Amitabh Bachchan acting as Khalnayak. And the more roles he plays, the more he becomes famous and the more he's liked by people. So, Krishna is not acting like an actor to hide himself. He's doing rather to reveal himself to people, to give himself. But a foolish observer who doesn't know that he's Amitabh Bachchan and who thinks, okay, this is a guy who's playing Allah Rakha role, or maybe whatever, Khalnayak, or maybe Anthony Akbar or whatever. These are old movies. So a person who thinks, who doesn't know Amitabh Bachchan, and he thinks, oh yeah, nice, then he'll be confused. So because of his foolishness, that's all. Everybody knows Amitabh Bachchan, but you don't know. You're so foolish. You're crazy. What are you doing? So similarly here, Krishna is acting different roles to give himself, to reveal himself, but a foolish observer who is obstinate and ignorant, he will never be able to understand Krishna, although he's present everywhere. He's everywhere. He's acting in his various pastimes. La Ram Narsimha Vaman. He's also acting as a supreme great personality who is present everywhere in your heart and outside. So he's acting as a greatest person, having all powers. That aspect also he shows. He shows his powerful aspect, his sweet aspect, his fearful aspect in form of death, his surprising aspect and bewildering aspect as a baby being bound by Yashoda, and also his wonderful aspect as Vaman, as Lord Narsimha, which is actually exciting. Half lion, half man, and a person who can measure entire earth in 2 steps. It's so interesting. But foolish cannot do that. That's the idea. So the idea is, if we want to relish and understand God, and in fact develop relationship with Him and develop love with Him, we have to get out of these 2 things. Agya, adhokshajam. Agya means ignorance. We have to take knowledge. And mudadrisha, and foolishness. We have to get rid of our obstinacy to not to surrender and have faith in Lord Krishna. So Kunti Maharani actually says, even though Krishna is so nice, so beautiful, so powerful, still people of this world cannot understand them due to their own foolishness. So the question comes, who can understand him? That's the question. Kunti Maharani continues in the 20th verse, 1:8-20. Tatha parama hamsanam muninam amala atmanam bhakti yoga vidhanartham katham pashyam hisriya. Now Kunti Maharani says, who can understand? Paramahams can understand. Or Paramahams cannot understand. Prabhupada takes this view in the purport. Even Paramahams cannot understand. So Paramahams means who are advanced spiritualists, who are self-realized saints. What to talk about foolish people? Even people who are self-realized, even people who can separate spirit from matter as it is, like milk from water. even they can understand. Muninam, people who are great philosophers, not today's philosophers, useless speculators, real philosophers like Gautam Muni, Kanad Muni, even they can understand. They confuse Patanjali Muni. And Amal Atmanam, people who are absolutely pure. Amal means normal, purity. Who are pure in mind, intelligence, and they're absolutely pure. At least pure of lust, anger, greed, even they cannot understand. So, who can understand? Bhakti Yoga Vidhanartham, only people who have devotion. Vidhanartham means, dha means to establish, vidha means to execute. So, only persons who can establish and execute devotion, who can establish devotion in their heart, dha, and vi means who can execute after establishing that in their heart, vidhan artham. So vidhan means this. So people who can understand devotion, not in their mind, not in their voice, but in the soul, and keep it there, and then execute actions on the basis of that devotion to please Lord. Only they can understand, and that is called Bhakti Yoga. That is called science of devotion. They can understand Krishna. And so Kunti says, I can understand or not? Kunti says, Katham Pashe Mahisriya. Kunti says, how can then a woman like me can understand? By this statement, Kunti has proved that she can understand and nobody else, and not these great philosophers. Although she says, how can a woman like me understand? But this is a statement having a different meaning, a contrary meaning, because by saying this statement, how can a woman like me understand? And keep in mind, the previous verse, the first verse was Namasya Purusha Madhyam. The first verse could have only been spoken by a person if he understands who is God. Everything about God. Especially everything about Krishna, who is standing in front of him. She is in knowledge, but nevertheless she is posing as if she is ignorant. And that is humbleness. And that humbleness is liked by Krishna. The true humbleness, that substance and not shadow. That humbleness with true spirit, which touches the heart of Krishna, that he likes. And that is devotion. The essence of devotion is humbleness. So she says only devotees can understand. But then she can't say, Krishna, I am a devotee and I can understand you. That's nonsense. Then she is not a devotee. So devotees can understand. So Krishna would have asked her, can you understand? You are a devotee. So Kunti, so how should she answer to Krishna? So she says, how can I understand? I am an ordinary woman. And by this, she confirms that she is a devotee and only she can understand Krishna. So this is, you see, this is how we have to pray. I told in the beginning, we have to learn how to pray to Krishna. Prayer is like a conversation with God. You are face to face. You are not just composing some prayers and saying and singing. That's not like that. It is a conversation with God, and Kunti is already anticipating what if I say this to Krishna, what he will tell me. And then without him telling her, she is answering those questions to Krishna. And that is love. Love means reading the mind of the lover. That is love. That love does this. Love helps to read the mind of the lover. Otherwise, what do you love? What's the meaning of love? A mother can understand the mind of a child even without he utters a word. A wife can understand the mind of the husband. Husband can understand the mind of wife because they love each other. But you don't understand the mind of a person walking on the street because you don't love. So Kunti can understand mind of God, mind of Krishna, and she speaks this statement, Katham Pashe Mahisriya. And Prabhupada says in the purport, the simplicity of acceptance of Lord's authority is more effective than showing insincere religious fervor. Anyway, Prabhupada says in the purport that Kunti was a devotee and she got special favor of the Lord because of this particular statement. Katham Pashyema Histriya. And this statement, mind you, this is not the first statement. Kunti didn't go to Krishna and say, Krishna, how can a woman like me understand to you? No. First, she shows that she understands him. She offers praise. Namaste Purusham Tvadyam Antar Bhairavasthitam. What other understanding you want about Krishna other than this? This is God. This is entire Vedanta Sutra, first verse. If you look carefully, the 4 chapters of Vedanta Sutra are there in first verse of Kunti Maharani's prayer. Right there. At least the first chapter is fully there in that of Vedanta Sutra. And then she says, I don't know you. How can I understand? And that gives Krishna a lot of excitement. So that's another point I started. Prayers are there to give excitement to Krishna. So here, Kunti is composing prayers in such a way so that Krishna is excited. Okay, fine. She says Aishwarya, and now she says, I know. And then she doesn't say, but she shows that she knows. And then now she says she doesn't know. So these are 2 aspects of prayer which you should keep in mind. Prayers are there. Prayers are said in such a way, in a very logical way, in a way that you are conversing with God and anticipating what Krishna will think on this point. And the second point is, they should be spoken in such a way so that Krishna becomes excited and pleased by those prayers. Katham Pashyema Histriya. This is what Kunti Maharani says. And then Kunti says, okay, fine. So Krishna might ask, okay, so you say devotees can understand. But what is Bhakti Yoga? What is Bhakti Yoga? So Kunti says, okay, fine. Bhakti Yoga is chanting your names, forms, qualities and pastimes. And text 21, 22, 23, 24 are discussing about name, forms, qualities and pastimes. And she immediately starts in 21st verse and chanting the names of God. This is Bhakti Yoga. Nothing else. This is Bhakti Yoga. This is a devotee who chants your names and glorifies you. Chanting is everything. She says Krishnaya Vasudevaya 1:21. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. So she says these are different names of Lord, no? Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Here are the names of Lord, and the 22nd verse is a form of Lord. Name, form, qualities, pastimes. This is what we are supposed to glorify Krishna. 22nd verse is pastimes. Nama Pankaja Namaya, Nama Pankaja Maline, Nama Pankaja Netraya, Namaste Pankaja Agrahe. 1:8-22. My respectful obeisances unto Lord, whose abdomen is marked with depression like lotus flower, form, who are always decorated with garlands of lotus flower, again form, whose glance is as cool as lotus, again form of the Lord, whose feet are engraved with lotuses. This is the entire form of Lord. She explains the form. And then she comes to qualities. Text 23. O Rishikesh, master of senses and the Lord of all lords, you have released your mother Devki, who was long imprisoned and distressed by envious kings, Kamsa, me and my children from a series of constant dangers. And Prabhupada writes in the purport that Krishna showed special favor to Kunti. He brings the concept of mercy. And she is now glorifying not just the name, the form, but the quality. And the greatest quality of Lord Krishna is His mercy. Is His mercy. That's the quality of Lord Krishna. Mercy is a queen of all qualities, and a special favor to His devotees who are in greater danger. Prabhupada says that. He specially favors His devotees, and that is the greatest quality of Lord, which Kunti Maharani is describing. And in the 24th verse, she is describing the pastimes of the Lord. And she says, my dear Krishna, your Lordship has protected us from poisoned cake, pastime of poisoned cake, from a great fire, from Lakshagraha, from cannibals in the forest, from vicious assembly, from sufferings in the forest, from the battle So his pastime of Mahabharata and his and the weapon by Ashwathama. So these are all the pastimes of Lord Krishna, which Kunti is trying to glorify, and she's glorifying Lord Krishna. And then in 25th verse she says, who can glorify name, form, pastimes and qualities of Lord? Who can perceive them? We can glorify them, but who can perceive them? Who can actually realize them in the heart, or how to realize them, how to intensify our glorification, how to chant the name so that names reveal pastimes, qualities and the form of the Lord. How to do that? Kunti gives a secret here in 25th verse. Vipada santuta shashva tatra tatra jagat guru bhavato darshanam yat syat apunar bhava darshanam. I wish all those calamities would happen again and again so that we could see you again and again. For seeing you means that we will no longer see repeated births and death. So interesting. So Kunti says, yes, Kunti gives a secret code to intensify devotion, to actually have realization of name, form, qualities and pastimes, to actually not just chant holy name by tongue, but to chant it by heart and soul. And the secret she gives is, she says the secret is intense eagerness to associate with Lord. That's the secret. Intense eagerness to serve Him, intense eagerness to be with Him, intense eagerness to actually meet Him face to face. That eagerness will lead to actually intensify your chanting, intensify your devotion. And Kunti Maharani says, to actually, she's so eager to meet Krishna, she's so eager to be with Krishna, that she chooses all the sufferings which she had undergone again. She says, I don't mind all the sufferings again, because now when sufferings are over, you're going, and when sufferings were there, you are there. So the sufferings which I suffered were favorable to my devotional service, and when I am not suffering, that is unfavorable, so I choose suffering. So this is the secret. Anukulasya sankalpa, pratikulasya varjanam. Devote, if you are eager to accept those which is favorable for devotional service, you don't hesitate to accept those things which is favorable to devotional service, and you don't wait to reject those things which is unfavorable for devotional service, then Krishna will definitely intensify our devotion. Apunar bhava darshanam. He will meet you first in holy name, in form of name, pastimes, qualities, and then directly face to face, and apunar bhava darshanam. And then by having his sight and his realization, you will never, by seeing him, you will never see this material world again in your life, and go back to Krishna and perfect your life. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. And I'll stop here. Our devotees can read these verses. I think these verses go till 43rd, 3 verse, 18 to 43. I've done from 18 to 25. Kunti is now taking a different turn. Verses beyond this are just glorifications of Lord, what she chooses to do. But she has established a fact here. How to glorify Lord, what do you mean by glorification, who can understand, who cannot understand, and how to please Lord by prayers and glorification. So rest of that you can all read and have bliss by reading the prayers of Queen Kunti. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yes, done well.
It was such a wonderful class. Now we'll open the forum for any questions or comments. Haribol.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, this is just an incredible class. So much depth and so many insights, deep realization. So we thank you from the bottom of our heart for all today.
Thank you.
And sharing with us beautiful how to
Thank you, Father.
So thank you very much again. And help from your Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Bhakti Vikasa Swami, for doing this amazing preaching work. I was watching a video on his preaching work in Andhra Pradesh, where he's preaching to a Telugu interpreter.
Oh, that's nice.
Just incredible that he's trying to reach the heart and change the hearts of people so deep in our communities. And these are really true treasures that we have, and as Indians, I think we need to understand the beauty in our scriptures, and really take this seriously. So again, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
I had a question.
Yeah.
Verse 20, Prabhu.
Yeah.
The use of the word Paramahamsa in the 20th verse.
Yeah.
If you could just, I wanted to understand if Paramahamsa is the renounced person who is completely living on the mercy of the Lord. And so the question was, does the Paramahamsa have to be a sannyasi, or can the Paramahamsa be of any of the other varnashrams?
Actually, Paramahamsa, if you use this word technically, in an official understanding, Paramahamsa is a stage beyond sannyas. So sannyas and then Kutichaka, Bahudaka, Parivrajekacharya and Paramahams. This is the official understanding of Paramahams. But after sannyas, so if a person is householder, he takes sannyas, and then he goes in different stages, and then he approaches the stage of Paramahams. That's the idea. But so Nityanand Prabhu, he was Paramahams. Actually, he was beyond Paramahams. He was an Avadhut, which is even beyond Paramahams. But okay, let us take him as a Paramahams. He was a Paramahams, and then he married. He married afterwards on the orders of Lord Chaitanya. So does he cease to be Paramahams? No, he is still a Paramahams. So Paramahams is a person. Hams means a swan. Param means of course a supreme swan. A swan who can separate illusion from Krishna. He can exactly see this is Krishna and this is illusion. That's a Paramahams. At least, so from a devotional understanding, this is the meaning of Paramahams. And a Paramahams, no matter in whatever ashram he is, in whatever ashram he chooses to be in, he will still remain Paramahams. So the idea is in traditional ages, in traditional India, most of the Paramahamsas were sannyasis, because that's a stage beyond sannyas. But then there were Paramahamsas who were married also, because Paramahamsas can take any ashrama. They can take any ashrama and they can still be Paramahams. Why they can take any ashrama? Because they're beyond modes of material nature, and so they can take a grahastha ashrama for the benefit of mankind if it is required, or they can do anything for the benefit of human society if it is required. The only job of Paramahamsa is to help others. They have perfected their life to help others, and to help others they can do anything. So Paramahamsas, technically if you ask, it is after sannyas ashram, but practically what happens is Paramahamsas can be found in any ashrama, anywhere. And why? Because he is not restricted in any ashrama. He is beyond ashrama. That is the idea. After sannyas, Paramahams, he is beyond ashrama. So if you are beyond varnashrama, you can use any ashrama. You are not in any ashrama, but you can use that ashram or that situation to help others and to benefit others. So that's Paramahams. So Kunti Maharani, if you ask about Kunti, technically, from a devotional angle, if you interpret this word Paramahams, she is a Paramahams. She is woman, she is a household lady, but in fact she is actually more than a Paramahams. She is a Paramahams in this role. She chooses to be in this role. Paramahams can choose. A sannyasi cannot choose. He has to be in that ashrama to purify himself. He is not purified. But Paramahamsa can choose. She chose to be in this role in the pastime of Krishna as a householder for the benefit of mankind. So that's the understanding of Paramahamsa. Is it okay?
Thank you so much. Yes, it's okay.
Okay.
Very nice. So, trying to think of like Bhaktivedanta Thakur, Grahastha, that he's so elevated. So I was just thinking of examples that you were explaining that he can play the role.
Yeah, right. Yeah, perfectly, absolutely right. Bhaktivedanta Thakur could have taken sannyas gradually and then go to Paramahamsa level, but because as a householder he could achieve that platform of Paramahamsa at the level of consciousness, he chose to be in Grahastha ashram for the benefit of mankind.
Thank you so much. Very nice.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
For coming here, we are very impressed by your introduction. The sequence of it is there. It shows her mood and the level of her devotion. In the beginning you quoted that sloka. Madhava Madhita, there is a sloka you were quoting.
Which one?
The devotees in the power of Krishna. Bhava Madhita.
Yeah. So that word is Saputam Madhbhavam Agata. Yeah, right. Yeah.
So that sloka very importantly, because only by getting purified by the process of devout service, the true love for Krishna becomes ignited, and that is Krishna is purified. Right? Not Bhava Madhava, then there is love for Krishna. So in Kunti's prayer, we see that it's a very overwhelming experience. Because of course one limit of one symptom of love you described in your presentation, that a person knows the heart of the person whom the person loves. But in Krishna's case, Kunti Devi is describing, and apparently sometimes, as you mentioned, the contradictory statements, she knows about him and still she agrees that she does not know about him. So that's a very overwhelming experience in love. And because of that overwhelming nature, Krishna becomes so attracted to her.
Yeah.
It is sometimes a conscious effort, sometimes when a devotee becomes overwhelmed, he just you know how it happens when one becomes overwhelmed. He just expresses utter humility and utter unqualifiedness.
Yeah.
Krishna's glories, and so in prayer there are two moods. Sometimes the devotee expresses his knowledge and appreciation of Krishna, and sometimes the devotee becomes overwhelmed and thinks that what am I doing? What is my qualification to say anything about it? You are beyond my words and imagination and everything. So that overwhelming nature of the Kunti or on anybody's part, that is what Krishna becomes totally captured. Wow, he is in love. So without being in love, one cannot feel overwhelmed. That's why the prayers of the rishis and munis and different personalities, Krishna is not so impressed, because they try to describe Krishna to their realization of glory. Krishna becomes totally captured by the overwhelming absorption or overwhelming nature of love, of loving devotees.
Okay, yeah.
In Kunti is very good.
Yeah.
Very wonderful.
Yeah.
So when is the next prayer you are taking? You are including the prayers of all the personalities, beginning with Mother. Next will be Vishmadev.
Let's see, I don't know. Perhaps, I don't know. Let's see. Yeah. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much for your association to this wonderful class. I have a question. Like Krishna was growing like a baby, and in family generally, in the sense, you take the relation as a relation and not the supreme personality of Godhead. And he was her Kunti Maharani's brother's son. So what was it that Kunti Maharani saw while Krishna was growing, that she felt that he's supreme personality of Godhead, and so she was like had like a dual relationship with him because he's personality of Godhead and also like a nephew. So what was it that she saw while? If you can explain a little bit, that question was coming to my mind.
No. Excuse me. Can you just repeat your question slowly and in a concise way? I can't.
What I'm saying is that like Kunti Maharani was in Krishna's family.
Yes.
And she knew that the supreme personality of Godhead. So while he was growing as a kid and she was an aunt, what was it that she saw in Krishna that she started believing that he's not nephew only, he's the supreme personality of Godhead?
Okay, I got your question. The point is, when Krishna was in spiritual world, he already planned, and with Kunti, with Pandavas, with Brajvasis, they already knew the plan. They already knew he was Krishna, his God, and Krishna sent them to play a role of her aunt. So you're thinking otherwise. You're thinking that she was her aunt, and what she saw in him to believe that he's God. But that's not like that. She was her devotee, and she knew he's God, and now she is playing part of an aunt in that role. So do you understand? So she already knows. It's not that she has to believe. She eternally convinced, eternally knows. She's eternal associate of the Lord, and that's why she just knows he's God. That's all. And she rather, when she is seeing childhood pastime, she is not confused that he's God. So she's not confused that he's a human when she is seeing all these pastimes. She already knows. So she is aware of this fact even before all these pastimes occurred. They're coming from spiritual world. These people do not belong to this material world. So do you understand this? Is it okay?
Yes, Prabhuji. I thought maybe something she saw. Yeah, they have a connection. That's true.
Yeah.
But I was just trying to remember some incidents, of since Damodar month is coming. You want to hear something about, some Leela of Krishna, which maybe I thought was there. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, thank you so much for coming and do class. Prabhuji, Kunti Maharani was there when Damodar Leela was happening, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes. And Prabhuji, I just wanted to let us know that also. And Prabhuji, Mahajan, I read Mahajan, they know Krishna more. Are they like Paramahamsa?
No, Mahajanas are, see Paramahamsa word, that's again, so Paramahamsa is defined in a devotional context. They are Paramahamsa. So in fact, they are more than Paramahamsa, because Mahajanas are those person who can not only practice devotion in their life, but who can teach. Mahajanas are teachers also. But Paramahamsa may not be a teacher. He might know himself, and he might practice. He might be in love with God. But a Mahajana is a Paramahamsa as well as a teacher. Or in other words, a Mahajana is that Paramahamsa who can make others Paramahamsa. That potency he has. he has a potency to elevate others to the platform of Paramahamsas. He's that kind of Paramahamsa. That's a Mahajana. Is it? Hare Krishna. Okay. Hare Krishna. Yes.
Actually, you mentioned earlier on in your class that there were other speakers present when Krishna was there in Hastinapur or Dwarka who were not, they did not realize that he is the supreme personality of Godhead.
Yeah.
Sorry?
So yeah, continue. Yeah, so.
Yes. So my question is that how can somebody be in ignorance when the Lord is present there?
Well,
also mentioned that there were classic units and different people in different strata of life. So I sometimes get a little aware as to how it could be classic units or other persons who were in more of ignorance and supreme personality.
Well, see, you don't need to go in the past time to understand this. How can we be ignorant when Krishna is present? Talk about us, all of us. We are ignorant even if Krishna is there in front of us. So we are not ignorant of the fact that Krishna is God, but we are ignorant of this fact that that Krishna loves us. We know theoretically, but on realized platform, nobody understands. We are ignorant of the fact Krishna is in the heart, at least on the platform of realization. Theoretically, we know so many things. We are ignorant of the fact Krishna and His holy name is one on a realized platform. So, in spite of us being surrounded by such powerful tools as holy name, devotees of Lord, deities of Krishna, still we maintain our ignorance. We are ignorant of the fact that we are not these bodies. So how does it happen? In spite of the fact that holy name is Krishna himself. Bhagavatam is a manifestation of Krishna. Tulsi Maharani, Ganges, they're all Krishna. They're all forms of Krishna. It is said in scriptures, or they have the potency equal to Krishna. So how does it happen? So that happens, that Kunti Maharani gives that answer. Because of they are ignorant in spite of seeing Krishna, because of their own ignorance, because they choose to be ignorant, because of their obstinate nature. So they don't want Krishna, so Krishna doesn't reveal himself to them. So that's the idea. Idea is, if you are hungry, food will appear tasty. But if you are not hungry, the tastiest food might be there in front of you, but you will not feel an inch of taste in that food because you are full. So devotees of the Lord, Hare Krishna. So devotees of the Lord are hungry to know Krishna, to understand Him, to serve Him, and that hungerness makes Krishna reveal his power, His original nature, and His sweetness. So that bhakti makes Krishna reveal Himself to others. But people who don't have bhakti, they don't want Him, Krishna doesn't want them. Those who want Him, Krishna wants them. It's yathamam prapadyante. So perhaps we might be there. Who knows? Who knows? In a corner you might be standing in Hastinapur, maybe. Who knows? Or maybe I might be standing, but we didn't recognize Him. Or we might be in China or somewhere, born in Rajasthan or somewhere, and Krishna was there 5,000 years ago, and we didn't meet Him. And Krishna says in Bhagavatam, there was never a time when these kings were not there, when I was not there, when you were not there. There was never a time when we living entities are not there. So maybe we were there, maybe we were not there. But even if we were there, we didn't recognize His supremacy, and we are born again here without Krishna. So it is our problem. It is their problem that they didn't recognize Krishna. And the point is, So the point is, it's not necessary that if Krishna is in front of you, you will be able to recognize him. It's not necessary. It's only by devotion and not by seeing him that you can see him. By devotion you can see him. And that is why Krishna says, it's not necessary you are with me or you're without me. Try to develop love. That is why the aim of life is love. And not, aim of life is not just to meet Krishna without love. So Mahaprabhu said aim of life is to love, because if you love, automatically you meet him. But if you don't have love, and if you have a agenda to meet him, then you might miss him, because to meet him you might practice yoga or jnana process or something else, but then he will not meet you. So that's possible. That's very much possible. In fact, people who were with Krishna, they fell into illusion. What to talk of knowing him? They knew him and then they forgot him. That's also possible. Like in Mahaprabhu's pastime, Kala Krishna Das and also Balbhat Bhattacharya, they were his servants, personal servant. You can imagine, personal servant of God. And they fell into illusion. They knew, he accepted their services, but then they fell into illusion. So that's also possible. It's not that you don't know him when he's present. You might know him, but due to illusion, you might again forget him. That's also possible. Krishna's illusory energy is very strong. She can do anything. But she can only harm those people who wants to harm themselves, who are insincere, who are not eager to meet Krishna, and then they're gone. So this only proves that how much powerful the illusory energy of Lord is, how much powerful is our ignorance that doesn't allow us to see Krishna who is right there in front of us. And this only shows how much sincere we should be to develop love for him as soon as possible. This only shows us that it's not necessary it's not enough to go in front of deities and have his darshan. Real darshan you can have only by loving him. So all these things we can understand. We can learn from those people who could not see him in Hastinapur. They are also teaching us many secrets of devotional service if we want to understand. And that is their role in the pastimes of the Lord. Is it okay?
Thanks so much, Prabhuji. I just have a short follow-up. It is said that Krishna is like the sun, and when he is present, there is no darkness or ignorance.
Yeah.
So how can we put this in perspective?
Krishna is like sun, and where there is sun, there is no darkness. But if there is no sun, then there is darkness. So there might be sun, but if you are sitting in your home, then you don't have sun's light. You are devoid of light. And who is responsible? We are responsible. So an example of, so this example is given. This Prabhupada says, so if Krishna is there, he's like a sun, he's there in your heart. But if you're sitting in your nest, if you're sitting in your home, and what is at home? Home has 4 walls. And what are those walls? Your own attachment to this material world, which blocks, which is there in between you and sunlight. These big walls which we have made, walls of attachment, walls of desire, walls of lust, envy, greed, and they don't allow sunlight to penetrate our heart, and there's darkness. So if we remove these walls, darkness finished. It is up to us, not up to him. It's okay.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
I think the 8:55.
Okay, yeah.
More time now.
Yeah.
So is there any one more last question before we can end the call? I just wanted to make one point.
Oh, yeah.
In relation to Mother Kuntis and even Mother Devaki and Vasudeva, they need Krishna as a Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that's why their relationship continues, becomes restricted. But in case of Mother Yashoda and Nanda Baba, even if some that's why her knowledge about Krishna started warrior from the very beginning, and it was described also by the Vedic personality. In case of Mother Yashoda and Nanda, that's like so transcendentally arranged to get transferred to Brother Leela, because the sentiment of Mother Devaki and they will hinder his free flow pastimes of Brother Leela. Because nobody cares that he is God. And that's the difference.
Yeah, you're right.
Particular rasa, yes.
Yeah, you're right.
Special relationship, and in spite of Krishna being her nephew, she sees no knowledge the true glory of the Lord. But Brajavasi is special prerogative because Krishna has made them their choice. It is by Krishna's choice that whichever mellow the devotee has in his eternal associates, different realm.
Yeah, you're right, yeah. So that's pretty much, so we can probably end here.
We can end up here today.
Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhu. Very much.
So
We hope
Your conference recording has stopped.
yes, so Hare Krishna, thank you. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa.
Salam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaste.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.